Okay, this is coming from Washington out of the Associated Press. Um, the Democratic House prosecutors launched the final arguments for Friday at 45's impeachment trial, arguing that the squatter will persist in abusing his power of the office ahead of the 2020 election unless the Congress intervenes to remove the squatter from the office. Yeah, because basically, if he stays in there, he's gonna continue fucking up, and he's gonna fuck up and fuck up and fuck up even more up until the November elections. And if we don't get him out there now, he's gonna fuck up a whole bunch of shit that's gonna take years to correct. He is who he is," said Representative Adam Schiff. "He's a con man. Of course, that's what he's going to be." Chairman of the House Intelligence Committee told senators accusing 45 of putting the U.S.-Ukraine relationship on the line in the way that benefited Russia just so he could take a political cheap shot at Joe Biden. "You cannot leave a man like this in office," Schiff said. "You know it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop unless the Congress does something about it." As Democrats pressed their case before skeptical Republican senators for a third day, the squatter's legal team was preparing for was preparing a defense for where they can bounce up and down on his dick. Expected to start Saturday, 45 eyes on the audience beyond the Senate chamber bemoaned the schedule in a tweet saying, looks like my lawyers will be forced to start on Saturday, which is called Death Valley Day, which he called Death Valley in TV. The Senate jurors faced another long day Friday armed with pens and paper, and for Republicans to gift of fidget spinners for the historic trial. The squatter is being tried in the Senate after the House impeached him last month, accusing him of abusing his office by asking Ukraine for politically motivated probes of political foe Joe Biden and Biden's son, Hunter, while withholding military aid from a U.S. ally that was at war with bordering Russia. The second article of impeachment accuses him of obstructing Congress by refusing to turn over documents or allow officials to testify in the House probe. Republicans have defended 45's actions as appropriate and are casting the process as a politically motivated effort to weaken him in his re-election campaign. I said 45's already weakened himself with this shit. I said the Democrats don't need to do anything to weaken 45. And I said even though the Republicans defend 45's actions as appropriate, it really wasn't. Republicans hold a 53-47 majority in the Senate, and acquittal is considered likely unless the Democrats can get 4 Republicans to flip, and that would be enough to actually impeach him and remove him from office. But I doubt they're going to get the 4 to flip. The Senate is heading next week toward a pivotal vote on Democratic demands for testimony from top 45 aides, including Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and former National Security Advisor John Bolton, who refused to appear before the House. It would take 4 Republican senators to join the Democratic minority to seek witnesses, and so far the numbers appear lacking. "This needs to end," said Senator Lindsey Graham, who is a Republican from South Carolina and a diehard 45 dick rider. He said he doesn't want to hear from Bolton or the Bidens. With Chief Justice John Roberts presiding. Friday's arguments opened with Democrats wrapping up their presentation on the first article of impeachment, which is the abuse of power, before turning to the second, obstruction of Congress. The Democrats relied on the words of the late Republican Senator John McCain to explain to senators why 45's decision to block the murder to aid Ukraine was so disturbing, as Schiff put it. "It wasn't just a policy dispute," Schiff argued, "but one hell of a Russian intelligence coup." As 45 chased kooky theories about Ukraine pushed by 45 lawyer Rudy Dumbass Giuliani that benefited Vladimir Putin at the U.S. expense. "This is 45 first, not America first," Schiff declared. On Thursday, the Democrats argued that 45's motives were apparent, but that he abused power like no other squatter in history, which was swept up by a completely bogus Ukraine theory pushed by Dumbass Giuliani. Schiff made an emotional plea for senators to consider what is at stake here. "Let me tell you something. If right doesn't matter, it doesn't matter how good the Constitution is," Schiff told a pin-drop quiet room. "If you find him guilty, you must find that he should be removed, because right matters." Democrats argued that 45's abuse was for his own personal benefit ahead of the 2020 election, even as the nation's top FBI and national security officials were publicly warned of the theory that it was Ukraine, not Russia, that interfered in the 2016 election. The Democrats' challenge is clear as they tried to convince not just fidgety senators, but an American public divided over the Republican squatter in an election year. A new poll from the Associated Press called Nork Center for Public Affairs research showed the public slightly more likely to say the Senate should convict and remove 45 from office than say it should not be, and 45% approves of him being removed from office, while the other 40 do not. But a sizable percentage, like 14, said they didn't give a shit and didn't have an opinion. One issue with the wide agreement 45 should allow top aides to appear as witnesses at the trial. About 7 in 10 respondents said so, including majorities of Republicans and Democrats, according to the poll. After both sides have concluded their arguments for next week, senators will face the question of whether to call witnesses to testify, but the issue has seemed all but settled. Republicans rejected the Democratic efforts to get 45 aides, including Bolton and Mulvaney, to testify in back-to-back votes earlier this week. As for the Ukraine connection, evidence has shown that 45 with dumbass Giuliani pursued investigations of Biden and his son Hunter, who served on the Ukrainian gas company board and sought the probe of the debunked theory that Ukraine interfered in the 2016 election. It's a storyline that many in the squatters' camp are still pushing. Dumbass Giuliani, in his appearance Friday on Foe and Friends, insisted he would present evidence on his new podcast of collusion going on in Ukraine to fix the 2016 election in favor of Hillary, and that was debunked already. I said they weren't helping Hillary win, and stuff like that. Piece of shit. But yeah.